This is the wreck of the Graf Spee, lying on the seafloor just 65 feet under the South Atlantic.
What if I told you a forgotten Nazi warship, resting untouched since 1939, just revealed secrets no historian was ready for? I'm talking sealed vaults, encrypted machines, and personal diaries that challenge everything we thought we knew about WW2. And the craziest part? That's just the beginning. So what exactly was hidden beneath decades of silence and steel? Stick around. You won't believe what they pulled from the deep. Just beneath the choppy surface of the South Atlantic, not far off the coast of Uruguay, rests something that looks more like a ghost than a ship. For years, it was just a whisper among war historians and a rusting legend for deep-sea divers. But in early 2025, a team returned to the site of the wreck with a mission: uncover what time had buried. What they discovered didn't just rewrite history, it rattled it. Inside the sealed hull of a long-forgotten warship, a vault was found, and what it held was nothing short of extraordinary. The South Atlantic had been guarding a secret for over 80 years, and now, finally, it was ready to speak. Once hailed as one of the deadliest vessels on open water, the Admiral Graf Spee was more than a warship. It was a calculated deception. While the Treaty of Versailles said no German ship could exceed 10,000 tons, this steel beast weighed nearly 16,000 in reality. Sleek, deadly, and faster than almost anything in her class, the Graf Spee could outrun danger and crush anything that caught up. Armed with 6 massive 11-inch guns and powered by diesel engines that let her glide across the sea at nearly 29 knots, she wasn't just built for war. She was designed to rewrite the rules of naval warfare. By the time 1939 arrived and Europe stood on the edge of chaos, the Graf Spee was deployed to the South Atlantic. Her mission was clear: hunt down and destroy Allied merchant ships, severing supply lines and creating economic chaos. And she did it with terrifying precision. In just a few months, she took down 9 merchant vessels, destroying over 50,000 tons of vital cargo. But in a twist of wartime morality, her captain Hans Langsdorff made sure every sailor aboard those ships survived. They were rescued, treated humanely, and transferred safely, a rare glimpse of honor in a war known for its brutality. Still, the ocean is a place where hunters eventually become the hunted. In December of that year, 3 British cruisers, HMS Exeter, HMS Ajax, and HMS Achilles, managed to trap the Graf Spee near Uruguay. Outnumbered but not outmatched, the German crew fought back fiercely during what would be remembered as the Battle of the River Plate, the first major naval clash of World War II. The Graf Spee delivered punishing blows, disabling Exeter and leaving the other 2 battered, but she didn't escape unscathed. Damaged and limping, she made her way into Montevideo harbor for emergency repairs. But time wasn't on her side. Bound by neutrality laws, Uruguay allowed only 72 hours before the Graf Spee would be forced back to sea. Behind the scenes, British diplomats launched a psychological war, feeding false intelligence that a much larger British fleet was waiting just beyond the river's mouth. Langsdorff, unwilling to sacrifice his crew for what he believed would be certain destruction, made a grim choice. On December 17, 1939, just outside the harbor, the crew scuttled their own ship. The sky filled with thick smoke as explosive charges ripped through the hull. Thousands watched in stunned silence as the mighty warship slipped beneath the water, her guns silent forever. In the days that followed, Langsdorff penned a letter defending his decision. Not out of cowardice, but out of duty. He believed he had done the right thing for his men, his country, and the code of conduct he had sworn to uphold. Then, in a quiet Buenos Aires hotel room, he wrapped himself in the naval ensign of Germany and made his final farewell. His story would haunt the legacy of the ship as much as its battlefield record. The Graf Spee didn't disappear instantly. For decades, its broken frame jutted out during low tide, a corroded skeleton rising from the waters like a monument to what once was. Locals and tourists circled the site in boats, awed by the remains of a war machine that had once held the power to change the course of naval strategy. But the river is a patient keeper. Slowly, mud and silt consumed the wreckage, dragging it deeper into the shadows. Storms chipped away at the remnants. By the 1990s, Only a few twisted fragments could be glimpsed above the surface, and even those vanished with the tide. And yet, something about the wreck refused to be forgotten. It wasn't just another sunken ship. It felt like a question waiting for an answer. Why had it clung to the shore for so long? What had it been hiding all these years? Curiosity grew. Whispers turned to investigations. Explorers speculated that the ship had taken more than wartime secrets down with it. What was buried inside the Admiral Graf Spee wasn't just steel and wire. It was a story frozen in time. Even as the war ended and generations moved on, the fascination with the Graf Spee didn't fade. Naval engineers and military historians believed she had held technology far beyond her era. Radar systems, targeting equipment, engineering marvels meant to outthink Allied vessels. British intelligence had once quietly combed through the remains, snapping photographs and examining whatever could be reached. Official reports were murky, sometimes redacted, but one thing was clear. The Allies were desperate to learn how the Germans had built something so advanced, so dangerous under the world's nose. And now, as new dives descend into the depths with modern equipment and fresh questions, what they're finding may finally crack the mystery wide open. The truth, long buried beneath layers of silt and secrecy, is starting to rise. What lies within that wreck could change what we thought we knew, not just about the Graf Spee, but about a forgotten corner of history waiting to be rewritten. The wreck of the Admiral Graf Spee had always stirred whispers and wonder, but by the early 2000s, it had mostly faded into a forgotten corner of naval history. The occasional glimpse of rusted steel breaching the surface during low tide was a haunting reminder of its past, like the ghost of a giant too proud to fully sink. Locals weaved stories about hidden vaults and lost treasure, and curious tourists took boat rides around its skeletal remains. But everything changed in 2004, when a determined group of divers launched a recovery mission that would ignite fresh debate, intrigue historians, and rattle nerves in political circles. This wasn't some casual salvage. This was a race against time. The river was slowly swallowing the ship, and if they waited much longer, whatever secrets it held might be gone forever. Visibility was poor, currents were unforgiving, and the structure was dangerously unstable. Yet what they pulled from the depths seemed almost cinematic. A 27-ton rangefinder was the first major discovery. Once perched high on the Graf Spee's gun control tower, this mechanical marvel could track targets with a chilling level of precision. Caked in rust and marine growth, it looked like it had emerged from another era. To the public, it was an odd artifact. To military historians, it was a glimpse into the cutting edge of pre-digital warfare. But that was just the beginning. Later that year, divers surfaced with something far more controversial: a colossal 7,200-pound bronze eagle clutching the national emblem used by Nazi Germany. Once fixed proudly to the stern of the Graf Spee, the sculpture was an unflinching symbol of power. Its recovery sparked outrage and fascination in equal measure. Some called it history. Others saw it as a dangerous relic of hate. As photos made international headlines, debates erupted. What should become of the eagle? Melt it down? Display it in a museum? Lock it away forever? One provocative idea even suggested recasting it into a dove, a symbol of peace reborn from an icon of war. The idea had momentum for a moment. Artists and activists rallied behind it, but not everyone agreed. Veterans, historians, and descendants of those who lived through that era pushed back, warning against rewriting history in metal. The government of Uruguay, caught in the middle of the firestorm, eventually chose caution. The statue was locked away. It's still there, in a secured facility, occasionally resurfacing in headlines whenever legal questions or auction rumors flare up. The divers didn't stop with the eagle. Smaller but deeply personal relics followed. Shell casings, broken mechanical parts, weathered dishes used by officers, and even a rusted-out typewriter still holding the faint impression of its last sentence. Each item added color to the ship's story, filling in the blanks of daily life on board. But there was a lingering sense among the dive teams and researchers that they were only grazing the surface. Certain parts of the Graf Spee remained completely sealed off, encased in silt and metal, never breached, not by war, not by time. Among the most tantalizing areas were the command center, encrypted communications rooms, and the captain's private quarters. If anything still held untouched secrets from 1939, it was those compartments. With backing from organizations in Germany, the UK, and the US, along with Uruguayan approval, they prepared for a deep scan and exploration mission unlike any before. The aim wasn't to collect more artifacts. It was to peer into the very soul of the Graf Spee, using tools built for precision and care. Gone were the days of diving blind. This time, compact autonomous submersibles the size of carry-on luggage were deployed. Fitted with 3D photogrammetry rigs and sediment-penetrating radar, they could slip into spaces no human could reach and map rooms once thought lost. These mini-subs didn't just show the outside, they painted a picture of the inside, like X-ray glasses peeling away the past. When their scans came back, the team was stunned. Parts of the ship thought to have collapsed decades ago were intact. One area behind the armored conning tower drew particular interest. Based on old naval blueprints, it was likely the secondary communications hub, or maybe even a secure archive. Either way, no one had ever opened it. A decision was made. That room would be the focal point, but reaching it would be a challenge. The structure had warped and twisted over the years. Metal beams dangled like jagged branches, threatening to collapse. That's when they turned to Kronos, a specially built submersible designed to squeeze through impossible spaces and return real-time video and sonar data. Kronos would be their explorer, their hands and eyes in the depths. On the morning of March 11, 2025, it slipped into the water. Navigating through the debris felt like a journey through a shipwrecked cathedral. The feed showed rusted bulkheads and collapsed hallways, remnants of a past once so carefully constructed, now hanging by threads. When Kronos reached the sealed room, a steel hatch barely held in place by corroded bolts stood between the present and the past. The sub's robotic arm moved with delicate accuracy, unscrewing what time hadn't yet taken. With a hiss, the pressure equalized. The hatch creaked open. Inside was darkness, still, heavy, untouched. But sonar showed the space was intact. Shelves lined the walls, a desk stood silent in one corner, and scattered across the room were items frozen in time. Then, a glint. Tucked behind a cabinet, half buried in silt, lay a large metal case, locked, undisturbed, and waiting. What lay inside? That's where the mystery deepens, and the next chapter begins. Its metal casing was unremarkable at first glance, dull, weathered, nearly erased by decades underwater. But the faded eagle imprint and a barely legible white serial number changed everything. The moment the team spotted it, time seemed to freeze. No one had anticipated finding a concealed container, let alone something that looked like it had been intentionally tucked away from prying eyes. Whatever was inside couldn't be risked in open water. Exposure could destroy it. So the site was immediately sealed behind a temporary conservation barrier, and plans for a dedicated recovery mission went into motion. Within days, rumors started bubbling through naval history forums and tight-lipped archaeology circles. Could this box hold secret wartime materials? Or was it nothing more than a stash of spare parts? Theories exploded. Some dared to believe it might hold intelligence never delivered to Berlin, handwritten diaries, or logs encrypted and sealed since the outbreak of global conflict. But one idea cut through all the noise. This wasn't just another wreck anymore. The Graf Spee had transformed into something much more, a preserved vault waiting to whisper secrets no one had ever heard. Weeks later, when the sealed compartment was finally accessed and its contents transported under controlled conditions to Montevideo, even the most skeptical researchers were left speechless. The chamber that had housed the box was built with unusually thick walls and reinforced bracing, common among 1930s naval designs, but rarely this effective. That single paragraph felt like a whisper from the past, honest, raw, and deeply human. As the archival documents were studied, another chilling hook surfaced. Some of the encoded messages referred to other vessels moving in formation, ships that had never appeared in Allied records. Was the Graf Spee just the tip of a much broader wartime strategy, a network yet to be uncovered? And if so, what else is still buried beneath the waves? The excitement only deepened with the recovery of two unique encryption devices. At first glance, they resembled the standard Enigma machines, but these were anything but typical. Their configurations were tailored specifically for naval operations: modified rotor systems, custom plug boards, and sealed code sheets tucked inside watertight compartments. Cryptographers now had a golden key to reconstruct communication patterns between German warships and submarines, a puzzle piece missing since the war began. Yet among all this technical brilliance, it was the personal writings that made the biggest impact. They revealed a crew emotionally detached from Berlin, improvising strategy on open waters, trying to stay loyal while wrestling with doubts. It painted a more nuanced picture of the men aboard, a ship filled with conviction, fear, and a growing realization that history was moving faster than they could control. As these documents go through translation and preservation, the global history community is buzzing. Panels are forming, exhibits are being drafted, and high-level conferences are already on the calendar. But even with all this attention, the recovery team keeps things grounded. As one lead researcher put it, "We didn't just open a hatch, we cracked open a forgotten era." While the historical impact is undeniable, let's not forget the people making this all happen, especially Dr. Elena Koig. With a career rooted in marine archaeology, her journey mirrors the Graf Spee's own complexity. Rising from a modest academic background, Elena has built a reputation for unlocking stories hidden beneath layers of time and debris. She's worked on everything from sunken cargo liners to Cold War submarines, and her ability to navigate politics, funding, and international red tape has made her an icon in the field. If we shift for a moment to reflect on the financial dimensions of such figures, especially those in the celebrity or high-stakes historical community, there's a surprising layer of luxury beneath the surface. Dr. Elena, for instance, is known to travel via Gulfstream G280 for expeditions, owns a penthouse near Geneva's Old Town, and collects vintage Patek Philippe watches, including a rare 1955 Calatrava. Her insurance policies are robust, covering equipment, health, and personal liability, ensuring nothing derails her mission. She's also invested in marine drone startups, lecture series deals, and owns a minority stake in a global preservation nonprofit. Her approach to wealth is grounded in longevity, not flash, opting for long-term returns over fleeting fame. Her journey reminds us sustainable success often lives at the intersection of passion and precision. So, where does this all leave us? With a sunken warship that's no longer just wreckage, but a library of forgotten thoughts and silent transmissions. With a discovery that might change how we understand early WW2 naval strategy. With whispers that there might be more ships like the Graf Spee out there, waiting. And with people like Dr. Koig leading the way, one can't help but wonder, what's the next vault waiting to be opened? Let us know what you think. Could the secrets from beneath the river rewrite the textbooks? Or are we just beginning to scratch the surface of a much deeper history? And just like that, history shook off its dust and whispered a secret no one expected. After all, the sea never forgets, and now neither will we.